Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Flip with me and Matt. Once again, want to just thank everybody and appreciate you guys listening in and tuning into the podcast every week, going over phone flipping and reselling and stuff like that. We do have a guest today. His name is Rick. Before we get started and diving into what Rick does and how he flips phones and electronics, I just want to remind everybody that there's a bunch of cool stuff in the description and stuff below that you can check out for free and you can pay for. If you want to, you can check out the ebook on episode 11 of the podcast, Tech Flips to Profit. It is free on the podcast itself. If you want the PDF version, you can buy it. And then yeah. So with that being said, we'll just jump into today's episode.
Let's
Rick,
go.
how you doing, man? Tell everybody,
Good,
what's your name, where you located, what do you do?
good. How are you guys? Yeah, I'm located in South Florida, Miami, Florida,
Heck
to
yeah.
be exact, and pretty much I do business all over South Florida and Central Florida as well.
Yeah, we met at the expo. So that was right around the corner from you, probably from where you work.
Yeah, yeah, the GRE Expo.
Yeah. So, dude, like, what's it like flipping in Miami? Like, there's a lot of people in Miami that flip, and some
Yeah,
people think it might be oversaturated and things like that. But I know a lot of people that are doing well in Miami.
yeah. I mean, it's changed a lot throughout the years. I've been doing this for a long time. Maybe on and like I would say I started into just reselling like the basics, just buying off of like Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. I want to say like almost 15 years now. And
Wow.
then it's changed a lot. It's definitely changed a lot. It was a lot less saturated before, and but I think it's more relationship based throughout the years. You build your relationships, you have your suppliers and your buyers, and I think it's definitely more saturated. There's less maybe less inventory as there was before because there's so much competition, but
Yeah.
there's still always stuff out there. I mean, as far as like buybacks, there's always someone selling their personal phone,
Yeah.
and and once you build like your clientele, you have like your own suppliers, that kind of, you have that going.
Yeah, for sure, man. What's that like? So 15 years, dude. Like, just
Yeah.
that just started flipping phones basically off the street, pretty much like everybody else, right? Um, that's basically how you started, am I right? What was the phone you started with?
Well, I remember it started. I think I was working at like a call center, and then I needed to sell my I needed to sell I had like a BlackBerry, and that was back when people used to flash their phones, like they'd
Yeah.
flash like Metro PCS or something. I couldn't get it flashed, so then I looked on Craigslist and I saw other people were selling their BlackBerry, so then I sold mine, and then I remember I got an iPhone as a gift, and then I ended up selling that one also, and then it kind of just like made me intrigued in the whole like buying and selling. Initially I wanted to do like buying, repairing, and selling, but then I didn't have the patience for it. I was clumsy. I broke like a lot of the phones, and I'm talking back like iPhone 5, iPhone 6.
Wow.
Yeah, I broke a lot of them trying to like buy to repair to flip, and then I found out about just buying like just regular used, or just buying broken and selling as is,
Dude,
and
that was one
just
thing.
selling to my local stores.
Yeah. Man, that was one thing at the expo after my speech. I had so many repair shops coming up to me and like just straight up asking, "You can sell something without fixing it?" And I was like,
Really?
"Yeah, bro. Like what?"
That's
Like that was the
incredible.
number one question I got.
What?
And I was just like, "You guys don't know this? Like I don't
Wow, yeah,
I
you
don't
would
even know how
think.
to fix a phone. Like I've never fixed a
Ye-
phone."
Yeah, I'm just now starting to get like a market for like buying repair stock. I usually now I'm mostly just focused on just like one thing, just like unlocked and new and used.
Yeah.
But then throughout the years, I feel like I've changed my business model like every few years, and the wholesale's kind of like what stuck with me.
Yeah. So you're doing more wholesale nowadays than the local stuff, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Initially, I just started doing just local to like small cell phone stores, and then I realized that they were selling international, and I always wanted to do the same thing. Like even when I started, I would when I would sell locally, a lot of my customers they would always because I would buy locally and then sell locally. So I would sell just to like an end user. Maybe I would have like one account to buy phones and another one to sell the same phone. And then a lot of my buyers were like from Brazil or like just, and they would always have the same story like, please hold this phone for me. It's for my daughter. Or they would all say the same story and they were all resellers.
Yeah.
Right.
So it just always intrigued me that there's a market internationally. I just didn't know how to go about it. I had to learn the logistics and everything else.
Right.
So if you don't mind me asking, like, what are you doing now wholesale? Like, are you buying from other resellers right now? Is that like how your wholesale works?
Yeah, I mean, I'm buying from wherever the price is
Okay.
right, but mostly only
That
only
works.
business to business. Like sometimes I'll still do deals off of like marketplace just for
Yeah.
the rush. Like if it's local and it's not like out of my way and it's like worth it,
Yeah.
then I'll still do a deal off of marketplace.
Yeah.
Um, but for the most part, yeah, just resellers and a couple of friends that I've made just working with the same people throughout the years, and they all do wholesale and they buy from auctions and stuff like that. So then I'm just buying whatever is in demand, whatever my customers need, and
Cool.
just yeah, just international for right now.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. So, I mean, and that's the game long term is like you want to connect with other resellers and buy directly from them, and like that's the game. Like once you move up out of the local flipping, right? That's what I call the scaling for. In inside of Recelerator is where we start buying from repair shops, other resellers, pawn shops, and other repair shops.
Oh yeah,
Um,
pawn shops is a really good one.
Dude, they send you leads all day long when you know it when you do it right.
It's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
People don't real. I mean, Matt, you bought some stuff from a pawn shop not too long ago. Made like
Mhm.
a stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
One cool thing I love about pawn shops is a lot of them don't actually buy phones, and like or like if they don't have the original receipt, they just won't buy it. Or if it's financed, they won't buy it. You
That's
know.
true. That's true.
So it's funny because like I have one down the road that just sends me leads all the time of people just coming in to sell their phone. And they just don't take them.
yeah,
So
they could be good for other things too. Like
yeah,
like they're good for video games,
yeah,
consoles.
yep, they sure are.
Right. Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for everything. I'm working on getting into different just different products too, not only just the cell phones. Like I've done systems before, but only mostly like the consoles when they first come out, like the new ones.
Yeah. There's definitely I mean,
But
Matt here
definitely
is
it's a good idea to have a broader
yeah.
range.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. I was talking with Muhammad at the GRE and he was telling one of my students because I have a student who only focuses on iPhones right now. And I kept telling him over and over again, I'm like, dude, you like if you want this to work well, especially in the beginning, you need to branch out a little bit. Like
Yeah.
iPhones, Samsungs, MacBooks, or anything Apple, any like
Yep.
do it that way, right? If you want to branch out and you want to stay within Apple, you can do it that way too. But it was funny, we were talking with Muhammad there, and Muhammad buys everything, you know, like wholesale, all of it, right? And he
Wow.
was just telling me, he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, you got to branch out if you want to make more money. Like, like the
No,
margin on
absolutely,
iPhone,
I agree.
yeah, the margin on iPhones just goes down every single year. Like it,
Like
unless you
every single
That's
just,
true.
month.
yeah, yeah, that too. I mean, like, unless your negotiation skills are on point, like the margin is just going to keep going down. Just because,
Yeah.
let's be real, iPhones are liquid. That's they are.
They
They're
really are. Yeah.
very easy to sell.
Yeah.
Like, what does your margin look like at the
The thing is
wholesale
when
level?
um Oh no, thing a good point I was gonna say
Yeah.
about different products is when one thing is slow, like when there's not a lot of iPhones in the market,
Yeah.
as far as locally, you could get video games or something else or any other product.
Absolutely.
But I mean
Absolutely.
it really just all depends who the customer is. When it comes to wholesale, it's not so much in it's not so much margin sometimes because right now it's just so like we said earlier saturated and competitive. So then a lot of times to compete, you might not be so much margin per phone, but then we're looking at more volume. Like maybe one customer could buy like 200 units,
Hmm.
so then it'll add up. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Hmm.
sense.
but
Yeah.
sometimes I like to do deals where it's like if I'm selling to a smaller store, maybe the margin could be a little bit higher if it's less volume.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense. Yeah. So are you doing wholesale with other items outside of iPhones right now? Like I know you said something about gaming consoles. Are you mostly using, is it new or like what does that look like?
Right now, only just used iPhones, really, just some
Oh, okay.
used and new iPhones and maybe some Samsungs, like new Samsungs.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, cool. So 15 years in the game. Um, what are some patterns you've seen, man? Like over time. Like being in this industry for 15 years is it's about 5 years longer than I've been in it. What are some patterns you've seen like that come and go? I think that's a really good question because I've seen a lot of patterns myself, and I'm sure you have too. Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah, I think it's seemed like his signal was kind of struggling.
Yeah, I'll give him a second. All right,
Yeah.
guys, we're back. I don't know if you caught the last question I asked, Rick.
Mhm.
Like, what are some patterns you've seen around in this industry over the past 15 years when it comes to just flipping devices? Like, are there any patterns that you've like noticed over time?
Throughout the years, I would just say like it's always changing and definitely like with the new release because every I think since the release of I want to say the 11 Pro Max, whenever there's the new iPhone dropping and the hype, and then as far as wholesaling, like getting the phones from the Apple store and then selling them overseas, I would say every year, the hype's kind of died down a bit, or It ends like sooner, like as far as like the super high price when it first comes out, and then I've seen I think the best year was 2019. I want to
Mm.
say like 2019,
Hmm.
2020 when they had because of maybe COVID and the chip shortage.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Maybe those were some factors that played into that, but yeah, no, there were I would say like gradually I've been seeing like every year after that, like 13 Pro Max was good, and then 14 Pro Max was still good, and then maybe like 15 Pro Max wasn't so great, and like 16 Pro Max, the demand definitely like it wasn't as strong as all the previous years. At least in my opinion, I mean, just in like sales wise too.
Yeah.
I know I've seen some articles too, like worldwide, the demand for the new iPhone, this last iPhone, the demand wasn't as high as the previous models.
Oh, I think people are catching on. They're selling the same thing every time, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think that
Well,
could be a thing,
yeah.
maybe because there hasn't been no major change. Also,
Yeah.
like the global economy, a lot of things play into it.
Yeah.
But what I see is through every year, used phones has always been the bread and butter, just buying and
Yeah, it is.
even when wholesale is slow, there's always someone selling their products. There's always someone that wants to get a new phone and sell their iPhone or sell their iPad. So that's
Yeah.
always kind of been like the bread and butter and something to like fall back on when
Cool.
other things are slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because like I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like this, like the buyback industry in and of itself is like bulletproof, right? Like you can't, it's hard to kill it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Simply because like I remember in COVID when like I was running a marketing agency at the time while I was still flipping, I lost all my marketing clients in the same week. Like besides like two, it like wiped out 6K in recurring revenue per month.
Crazy.
Um, but
Yeah, crazy.
buybacks picked up almost immediately because people
Mhm.
needed money,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And like it was at that, and dude, it's funny how many phone flippers quit because they thought like it wasn't going to work. And I
Yeah.
like my phone started ringing off the hook, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it just goes to show this business works. The used market works in
Hmm.
almost any kind of
Yeah.
market, whether it's COVID or it's a good economy or it's a bad economy or if there's a global pandemic happening, like it still
Yeah.
works because I mean, it just comes down to that fundamental rule that people always need money.
Yeah.
And that's never going to go away. At least, unless they just usher in, you know, universal basic income. But
Yeah.
outside of
That's
that,
funny. That's funny that you say that about COVID because yeah, I know a lot of people also that got discouraged and quit
yeah,
during COVID. But for me, those were some of the best times because
yeah,
that's when like the demand was through the roof as far as like the international market,
yep,
Yeah.
and especially with the whole chip shortage and everything. And then there was low supply, but I was still able to get supply. So then at the same time, demand was through the roof, and yeah, a lot of people were selling their phones too at the same time. So I think still to 2019 and 2020 throughout the year were some really good years as
I think
far
so
as
too.
for me for phone flipping.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons there too was because the bar was low to get in, you know? Like you could still post ads on Facebook Marketplace, you could still do stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
And it's progressively gotten over like harder to do that stuff over time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
personally believe we're in like phone flip like people quit when things aren't easy anymore, right?
yeah,
And that's a pretty common theme that I've seen throughout the years is like as soon as you put some friction between somebody, they just quit. Like,
yeah.
and that's how it works, right? Um, but somebody like you that's been around for 15 years, like like you've seen the ups and downs and the ebbs and flow of business, and business is business, right? Like
Yeah, and
it's
it's
gonna
a
be
huge
hard.
industry, and it's one
Yeah,
of the, it's such a huge industry, and you always have to adapt, and maybe if you have to adapt and change or learn like another something else in the industry, like another way that you can make money, and it's always changing, it's always
Mm.
fast.
Yeah.
yeah.
Every year it's always different, and yeah, like things definitely do get saturated as far as like selling internationally. There's a lot of markets before that maybe less there were less people selling in those markets, and then over the years like now maybe like there's some people that for instance, there's companies that buy from auctions that I used to buy from in the past, maybe like brokers and things, and then now those same companies are selling directly to the international buyers, so then it's like, and for the same prices, so
Yeah.
Mm.
so yeah, no, it's definitely competitive, and it's always changing.
So we got a lot of listeners on here that are interested in. I remember we are talking to a couple people about Brandon on the last podcast, and they asked me why we didn't go into more detail on some stuff. So I'm going to ask you a pretty pointed question. What is it like dealing with these international buyers? Like what does that actually look like without obviously giving away your, your plug and all of that, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
what does it look like communicating and making deals work on an international level?
I mean, it varies. Every relationship and everyone is different. I'm still always, to this day, I'm always looking for new clientele and always looking to work with different people. I've had some really bad experiences and some good experiences. I would say definitely to be very careful too when dealing with international, as far as like I wouldn't do like I don't know, a lot of people in this industry they do like payment on delivery, but for international, I've had some nightmares with that and
Mm.
giving buyers credit and people owing me for like forever and
Oh
so I
man.
mean it all depends on the buyer, you know, then you know, if you build a good enough relationship, you know, you could have customers that'll, you know, help you out and but I would say as far as international to be safe, just you know, require payment up front and just have the credibility so that, you know, to build that trust so that your customers would pay you up front.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, in the U, like with Mercury, we do pay on delivery, but we pay within 24 to 36 hours, so it's a little different.
Mercury.
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's the yeah,
that's me and
that's the
Aaron. Yeah.
it's like an e-commerce app, right?
No, no, no. Mercury Electronics. We're a direct buyer.
Oh, okay, Mercury. I thought you were talking about Mercari, the
No, not Mercari. No.
yeah, yeah.
No, that Mercury is our direct buyer division of Recelerator, basically, where we buy directly from clients and stuff like that. Um, Matt, you usually have some good questions, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
as far as domestic, that's fine. I mean, I work that way a lot still.
Yeah,
But I mean, you know, sending like maybe to someone in a whole nother country that you never dealt with before, and you know, and if they don't have like a lot of like references or way that you'd be able to get your money back, it's really risky.
makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
But as far as like maybe like a domestic direct buyer, you know, at least you're in the same country, you know, at least there's like legal ways and other ways that you could get, you know, you could go to small claims court or something. We're in the same country, but then if you're sending to like a complete different country on
Yeah.
credit, you know,
yeah, that makes sense.
oh, complete
Um,
different animal.
yeah.
So, rule of thumb is get paid before you send it overseas. Got it. Unless you've been working with them for a while. Matt, do you have any questions for Rick?
Yeah. Well, I'm intrigued by business can be, for some people, it can come in spurts, but I think people who are
Yeah,
really set, and there's a certain type of person that stays consistent in any business, but especially in this game for a while. What would you say are some of the characteristics, maybe some of those intangibles that are present in you as a person that, they don't show up on a data sheet, they don't show up, within quantifiable metrics, but they're an aspect of who you are that have kept you like focused and like consistent with your business. What do you think some of those things are?
I would say the key word resilience, just being very resilient, and you know, and knowing that there's been ups and downs. Like there's been a lot of euphoric times where you know I've done really well,
Yeah,
and there's been times where almost like very little effort I've been able to close good deals, and then you know, and then I guess throughout time I'm already used to it. I've weathered times been like when times been slower. I'm just always learning every day. If I'm not making a sale, I'm learning what I have to maybe what I have to change, how I have to adapt in order to
yeah,
do better.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then it's just constantly learning because the game is always changing and you
Yeah,
mhm,
know technology itself is always changing, so just you know just always learning. And another thing too is just always just ambition, just having just knowing like the level that I wanted to get to, and knowing that I have so much more to learn still. Like I started just doing I wasn't selling to a direct buy or anything like that. In the beginning, I was just selling like buying one phone, two phones, and you know, just selling them to any user or selling on eBay.
yeah,
Mercury was one, Swappa,
yeah.
all of those sites. And then from there I tried doing like refurbished phones for a while, and it lasted maybe like for a few months,
Okay.
and I would just sell 10 users, and then I couldn't like, you know, I couldn't really like stand it anymore. I wanted to scale also. So
yeah.
Yeah.
then later on I found out about selling like to a direct buyer, selling wholesale. But these are all things that I learned like throughout the years.
I have a
Mhm.
question. You've been in this game for 15 years. What are the top three things that you thought would work that did not work,
Top three things.
or
It's
at least one.
interesting.
Yeah. Like, what are some things that you tried out in the industry that you thought were going to like crush it, and then they just didn't?
Uh, I would say definitely just maybe just giving like just just giving a lot of people credit. Maybe
Mm.
just being like over ambitious and like giving like a new buyer like a big amount of credit or
Oh,
I wouldn't say anything. I'm trying to think. I can't think of like maybe like a strategy or something that I tried that didn't work.
That's okay. I mean, giving people, I don't give any buyers credit for the most part. Like,
Yeah, no,
I don't
that's
believe anybody until they have like a proven track record, dude. It blows my
yeah,
mind. People will go into Facebook groups and like send people phones, like, and they don't know those people, you know.
yeah,
However, I will say, like, once you start building yourself in this industry, um, like if you do it correctly and you get a good reputation, like you can
yeah,
do a lot of POD, a lot of pay on delivery,
yeah.
right? But you like the trust has to be like massively built. I remember my first ever instance with this. I posted in the B2B group on Facebook that I was selling a whole bunch of like prepaid, like, kind of janky phones, but like I had like 100 of them. And I
Okay.
was like,
yeah,
I wanted to get them out of here quick.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I put them all on that group, and then a guy reached out and he's like, "Hey, I'll buy all of them for 600." And I was like, "All right, cool. Get these things out of here." Because I'd already made all my profit. It didn't matter at that point. Um,
yeah,
and I just wanted them gone. And the dude was like, "All right, what's your Cash App?" And I'm like, "You don't want me to like send them first?" He's like, "Nah, I know who you are, you know." And that was because of my YouTube channel, because of all the stuff that I had done on Facebook. And I was like, "Oh,
That's
wow, okay."
cool.
So I have a
Yeah,
reputation,
yeah,
you
that's
know,
cool.
and that it takes a long time, I've noticed, in this industry to build that, a lot of
Yeah.
trust.
absolutely.
It sounds like that's something that you also might have. You've been around for a while. So,
I
um,
would say just be just be cautious. Like if like a lot of times like you could tell when something's a scam. Like in the as far as the buying wholesale, so I'm on a lot of platforms.
yeah.
Hmm.
And a lot of times I get scammers where they'll pretend to be a company that I know,
Mm.
or they'll make like a new WhatsApp, like, hey, this is my new WhatsApp, and it might be someone that I sent money to up front before for phones, and then and I'll verify because I'll call the owner, or I'll tell the actual person like, hey, this guy's pretending to be you, and I've had that happen like a few times, but
Oh,
luckily
wow.
I've never fell for it. But I would say just be maybe a mistake that I made a lot before was just being too trusting, or just being maybe just too ambitious. Like I would give like so many phones on credit and just wait, and then I'd be like fighting for my money for like months.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So I definitely stopped doing that. I prefer to deal with someone that's I prefer to deal with someone that that they do business the right way,
Right.
and and they have more credibility than than to get burned to like for the possibility of making like an extra like 10-20 bucks, but then you're waiting. Time is money, so what's are you really making more if you're waiting more longer
Yeah.
for that payment?
So, and that's so you mostly nowadays it's wholesale. Is that right?
Yeah,
The
for the
bulk of
most
everything.
part.
So,
Yeah,
if
I'll
you don't
still
mind
do
me asking,
some
like,
local deals here and there.
what does that look like in terms of, and if you don't want to share it, that's fine. But like, what does it look like in terms of revenue per month, from the wholesale side?
It depends. It varies.
Yeah.
I've had some pretty like crappy like slow months, and I've had
Oh, we lost him. All right, Rick is back.
Hey.
So, couple last questions, man. If you were just now starting out in this industry, is there something you'd do differently starting off?
I mean, it depends on the person. If they can, I would recommend, if they could find someone that's in the industry already, that's willing to help out and share some information, or even if they have to pay maybe for like mentorship or something, then I would recommend that. It definitely helps to know people that are already in your industry. Like when I started, I already knew some people that at least they had that they were in the industry for a while, as far as just having like cell phone stores doing buybacks,
Yeah.
and they were already selling internationally also. So I've learned a lot from them, like
Yeah.
of course they're not going to give me the whole game, but
Yeah.
at least like they gave me enough, and then as over the years I've been able to figure out and learn a lot of things on my own.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big proponent of mentorship myself, not just to plug my own stuff, but like, I mean, it definitely helps, right? Like the learning curve is already long. If you can shorten it in any way,
Yep.
Yeah,
it's definitely
absolutely.
worth it. Like I think a lot of people discount like education online, and that's they're not wrong about it. A lot of the education out there is already free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so it's like I think a lot of people discount it because it's free, you know? At least that's what I've
yeah.
seen. Um, like
When I first
I don't,
started, there was
yeah,
very little information out there.
yeah,
Or,
yeah, 100%. Like I think the only person that was really teaching was David Kay back in the day, and that was back in
I
like
remember that
2016.
guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He-
remember those.
yeah, he was my mentor. So, um, definitely times have changed, and but I mean, you heard it first, guys. Find a mentor.
Straight up.
It definitely helps, even if they're your buyer. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't. Um, well, I'll say this: a lot of like, let's say, direct buyers. I've
Mhm.
noticed they don't help a lot of their people learn how to buy more devices. They just buy from them. But I guarantee you guys, if you
Yeah,
ask them, they would help you.
Yeah.
yeah. I've had help from some of my buyers, like when I was starting out too.
Yeah,
It would give me like some input here and there, and yeah,
yeah,
and just or just any resources you could use, just information, or if you could even find someone locally.
yeah,
But nowadays there's so much information online, and
Mhm.
yeah. So, Rick, how can people work with you? Like, are there resellers that can work with you? Like, how does somebody work with Rick?
yeah, absolutely. I always answer. I'm usually answer my WhatsApp more than anything, but I'm also on Facebook too, and I'm always buying and selling on there. And you could always offer me any used unlock stock, or any new unlock stock, or pretty much anything. I'm always getting requests for random things, and I'm also going to get into other products as well.
Like, yeah. All right. Well, we'll put your information below this video.
Yeah.
That way people can reach out to you directly,
Yep.
and work with you, maybe send you devices. And, I mean, if you offer wholesale prices, we got a lot of people that watch this, specifically phone flippers. So,
Yeah. We do.
and we also
Yeah,
have a lot of people in Miami that watch the podcast too. So for those of you that are in Miami, might be worth it to meet up with Rick,
Mhm.
sell him some stuff, and, both of you can make money together.
yeah, absolutely. I'm here.
I love it. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, we'll put your. I mean, if you want to go ahead and say your WhatsApp, like what's your WhatsApp number? That way they can have it. And then I'll also put it in the document, the companion guide that goes with the podcast as well.
Yeah, like the QR code is fine.
Okay.
My Facebook. Pretty sure most of the viewers have Facebook. You could always contact me at on my Facebook, or Facebook Messenger. I'll always respond, or my email. I mean, I don't know if anyone uses email. Eon at eoncell.com, or just just shoot me a message on WhatsApp, 786-657-9790.
Awesome. Well, Rick, appreciate you having you on here, man. It's nice to
Appreciate
have
you
another
guys.
wholesaler on. And yeah, we'll have to have you on another time, dude.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to touch on too, like and buying and selling
Oh
other
yeah.
things too.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Well, guys,
Absolutely.
this has been another episode of the Smart Flip. Make sure to check out all of the details below in the companion guide. We've started adding companion guides to go with the podcasts. They're built using AI, obviously. And check out Rick's information. It'll be in that companion guide below this in the first comment. So, with that being said, this has been another episode of the Smart Flip. Make sure to check out Console Kings and all the other stuff that's below this as well. So, see you guys on the next episode.